Folks, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, back where we all love to be in Rome 2, and we're going to see an awesome battle today. This one is going to be Egypt going up against the forces of Galatia. So this should be a fun one. Egypt is kind of an interesting mix. I mean, there's certainly an Alexandrian or Greek faction for the most part, but they do have some uniqueness to them. Units like this Carian Axeman. And they have other cheap infantry units available to them that are different than others. You got Nubian spears here as a light spear unit, Levi Thurio spears, so cheap Thurio spears, Galatian Royal Guard, which is actually from the enemy's main country here, very tough. Barbarian sword infantry. We have these interesting Sobek cultist, so these are going to be some crocodile soldiers here. Essentially, they scare everyone. And they encourage nearby units, so they're more of a specialty support unit. There's going to be interesting cavalry here, Ptolemaic cavalry. It's probably similar in many ways to, say, Companion cavalry, not to be confused with Campanian cavalry, but some citizen cavalry, and it looks like we've got some Tarentine cav supporting these Thurio spears, and look how effective they can help push back these mercenary horse skirmishers. There's 3 of those there for Galatia that are already working on a flank. Let's look at the skirmishing of Egypt quickly. Their front line is 3 mercenary Rhodian Slingers. These guys have 29 missile damage, which is very high for slingers. And they have a fair bit of armor piercing in that damage. See, it's actually 8 versus I think it's 4 in the standard slinger maybe. So I think it's double the AP on your standard slinger. This Tarentine cavalry's got its work cut out for it, though it is using the forest nicely, but can't go 3-1 and manage to live. So those horse skirmishers are a very real danger at the moment. Galatia is patiently waiting on its side of the battlefield. We can only see part of their army at the moment, but they do have some mercenary Syrian archers. These are very powerful archers. Lots of damage, decent range, fair armor as well, though I don't know how well their armor will stand up to slingers. There's some Galatian spears here, which is kind of a medium spear unit. And some Galatian legionaries, which is a nice mid-tier barbarian sword unit here. Their general is in a noble horse, and then we can see a mercenary Cappadocian cavalry, which is a powerful melee cavalry unit that is quite heavy. So pretty tough cavalry units, and there could be more. Well, I think there is more based on what we saw on the load-in screen, but right now there's just some patient skirmishing going on for Galatia. They got rid of the Tarentine cavalry, and they have no need to quit. If they can get the attention of these Rhodians, it will help with the approach of the remainder of the army. And these horse skirmishers now have themselves a pretty good place to skirmish here in the woods behind the Egyptian player. No doubt the Galatian player would probably like to hold the line where they're at. See what happens here. Those Thurio spears, though, pretty effective. Nice use of a cheap unit here to push back these horse skirmishers. Now, they do not have unlimited javelins. When they run out of javelins, their usefulness, at least in this capacity of trying to force a fight early, will be spent. Now, it doesn't mean they can't get a charge into slingers or do some disruption later on. But, once they've discharged their javelins, that'll be spent. Looks like there's some, Ptolemaic cavalry going on a scouting mission. They found out the hard way there was some more Syrian archers there. Looks like some Galatian swords right there at the front of that as well. Galatian swords are a light barbarian infantry unit with some pretty solid charge and weapon damage. They won't last a very long time, but they can do quite a lot of damage in the charge. So something to take into account. The Egyptian infantry is not going to be a match, and I'm not just talking literally about the cotton-clad Egyptian infantry here. But any of the infantry on the side of Egypt here is not going to last long outside of the Galatian Royal Guard. But bear in mind, they will be matched up, most likely, by some heavy Galatian infantry as well. So Egypt is going to be depending on cavalry, namely the Ptolemaic cavalry for some pretty heavy charge work, and then the Rhodian Slingers for some damage potential as well. Yeah, those 2 Galatian Royal Guard are going to be very important. The general's actually in the Carian Axemen as well. It's an odd choice. It looks like they do have javelins, the Carian Axemen. I don't remember exactly what the Carian Axemen unit is like. Lightly armored axemen can hack their way into the enemy in the rear of enemies. Yes, I mean, it's a light unit. It's not where you would expect the general. Yeah, those horse skirmishers are still back there trying to be a pest. You can see Egypt taking their time to work forward. More Galatian legionaries visible. And it looks like a Syrian archer moving out in this direction. There's another mercenary Cappadocian cavalry. These guys are going to be extremely dangerous in melee to either the Ptolemaic cavalry or the citizen cavalry. These are highly armored, tough units. So don't underestimate Cappadocian cavalry. It is a very solid melee cavalry in this game. Let's see what happens. Like I said, the slingers have some substantial capabilities. I think the Rhodians are going to be very dangerous here to the enemy. They can cause significant damage. They're going on to rapid reload here as well, which means they'll get some extra volleys, and they are targeting, looks like 1 into the Galatian sword and then 2 into this mercenary Syrian archer. That Syrian archer is going to cop some serious damage here. They don't drop units super quick, but yeah, they are in trouble. So they're going to get pulled back. You can see the Galatians appear to be potentially moving ahead with the charge. They stopped just short here with this mercenary Cappadocian cavalry. The Thurio spears push them back on this side. It looks like the charge is going to continue, and those cheap swords got a volley into the Rhodian Slingers, and then the archers opened up on them. So that was a nice counter by Galatia, though the swordsmen are going to eat it here now. Though those javelins would obviously be better being thrown into cavalry. Here comes the Ptolemaic cavalry, and you can see the Galatians don't want anything to do with the charge of that Ptolemaic cavalry, and I don't blame them. So it was a nice feint that at least pushed them back. This should allow the Rhodian Slingers to get repositioned. They're very tired now from the use of that rapid fire ability. That's some nice shots into the rear of that Galatian legionary. They're not going to like that. That's going to do some damage. They get another volley in, that'd be huge. So that's going to be, remember, just because you can't see a health bar in Rome 2 does not mean it doesn't exist. It does exist. And they're whittling away that health bar. Look at this Galatian sword down to half strength already. Those Rhodian Slingers are taking a severe toll. They're working on that Galatian legionary over here. 2 of them are down. In talking with Sol Invictus on a different project we were working on, he was saying that if he can kill off, like 8, 9, or 10, characters out of one of these units, that it's going to have a substantial effect on their melee capability, because by the time those units start falling, the overall unit health has dropped significantly. So it may not look like you're doing a ton of damage kill-wise, but you may be doing a lot of damage hit point-wise. Oof, that Galatian sword unit there is going to be a lot worse for wear. Getting peppered by these Rhodian Slingers. Rhodian Slingers and Balearic Slingers are absolutely brutal. They're expensive skirmish units, but if kept safe and given an opportunity to do what they do best, it won't be pretty. This Carian Axeman get a nice javelin toss in there. So the Galatian sword front line is definitely taking some hurt. Now, it is partly a front line, and it's partly its duty to get out there and throw some javelins and take some hurt, but this Galatian legionary now getting fired on. Ooh, yeah, he dropped some models out of that one. It's down to 115. So Egypt is definitely taking a toll with their superior skirmishers. Already 40 kills on 2 of the mercenary Rhodians and 10 on another. So these 2 over here have gotten some significant kills. Slingers come with a lot of ammunition as well. See 25 there, and only 15 on the Syrian archers. Now, the Syrian archers have not spent much of their ammunition. Something to bear in mind. If those units survive late into the battle, it can also play a big role. They have heavy shot, where they can do extra armor piercing. They have standard shot, which gives them plenty of range and quite a lot of damage as it is. They're not the highest damage archers. I believe the highest damage archers come in around 41, whereas they're kind of a more standard 35. But they do have decent armor. There's a Thurio spears wanting to fend off that Cappadocian cavalry. It may be intending to be a charge blocker as well. These guys have the square ability, so it's possible. Yeah, he's using a rapid advance here to get them into combat quickly, and then he might form them into a square or just use them as a charge blocker. Speed acceleration and charge speed. So he used the Nubian spear. Sorry, I was thinking that was the Levi Thurio spear. 2 different units. Both of them have the square ability, though, which can be a great area denial tool, because the square increases the morale of the unit and makes it a little bit harder to break. Boy, these Rhodians are just unloading on the Galatian legionaries. And the Syrian archers just can't seem to get themselves in a position to counter it. And then a nice charge here. The citizen cavalry, I did not see this get beat up earlier. It's probably by the horse skirmishers, but a very nice block on those Galatian swords. It's going to pull out, and then the Carian axemen are going to come in charge free and probably be able to help clean that up. The Syrian archers, of course, made that citizen cavalry pay a pretty severe price. These Rhodian Slingers are under fire by the Syrian archers now as well.
Understood.
Egypt's going to want to keep these Rhodian Slingers safe. They can't afford to lose them. Ooh, they might lose a few here. That mercenary Cappadocian pulled off at the last minute, but took a nasty javelin volley. There's a Nubian spearman really pressuring them hard to get out. And the Galatian Royal Guard comes in to help clean this one up. That's going to draw in this Galatian. Yeah, it's going to cycle charge. That's what I figured. Might be bait to try and get those legionaries to keep coming forward. We'll see what happens here. This Galatian legionary is going to take a citizen cavalry charge. It's enough to disrupt them, at least at the moment. Ooh, the Ptolemaic cavalry is going to follow it up, and it's not braced. Oh, that Galatian legionary just took some beating. Yeah, that's going to hurt. Wow. But the Ptolemaic cavalry taking a full-on volley here from the mercenary Syrians. This is an excellent fight so far. Both players have done some good plays. That early skirmish cavalry was really nice by the Galatians. And there's still a lot of dangerous Galatian infantry on the battlefield, and a noble cavalry here too. Noble horse, I should say. These Galatian legionaries finally got in here against the Egyptian infantry. And then the Galatian Royal Guard is taking on a Galatian legionary over here. Looks like it got beat up pretty bad. I didn't catch what got them. When they pulled out of that fight, they might have gotten shot by the Syrian archers. Look at this, the Galatian cavalry missed this Ptolemaic cavalry, which is just going to go full-blown into the archers. It's not going to live, but, I mean, it's going to do some significant damage, and it's going to push this cavalry back and force the noble horse and the Cappadocian cavalry. So this is a desperate play by the Galatians to keep their archers from getting bushwhacked here. And they did lose some. But then, at the same time, that's going to leave the remainder of their infantry unsupported. And this Galatian legionary is paying a terrible price for that. The Galatian Royal Guard here is tearing them apart. This flank's not looking great for Galatia either. It's going to be interesting to see how much ammunition those slingers have left. They've been firing a lot this battle. This Galatian Royal Guard just did not get a great engagement here. Significantly better than this legionary. I must have missed what happened. I think when it pulled back, like I said, I think the archers got it. When it pulled back, that Ptolemaic cavalry really put some effort into that, and the Syrian archers lost some units, and every unit that dies takes their ammo with them. So that may have been a clutch play by Egypt, but we'll see. That Ptolemaic cavalry is also one of the important units for getting rid of enemy infantry, and the cavalry is no more for Egypt. Egypt sacrificed its remaining mobility, I believe. No, they have just a little bit of citizen cavalry here. And it looks, oh, it's trying to sneak in here. It had been hidden in this forest, and it's trying to make its way in unseen. And if the player doesn't notice the mini-map over here, it might make it. This Cappadocian cavalry, nope, the Cappadocian cavalry sees it. So, an interesting play. Not going to turn out that way. Let's see, the noble horse taking a little bit of fire here. The Rhodians are now positioned back in the woods, but see, now they're being pressured by that. Remember those horse skirmishers? I said that after they get rid of their ammunition, they could still be a nuisance in this regard. And the Galatians are starting to wrap up some of that cheap Egyptian infantry. There's a Royal Guard now on this flank, finishing off a Galatian legionary, and this one swapped over to the other fight. A few Sobek cultists coming in here. I don't know how well the cultists will fare here. The scare could be handy, though. Ooh, the Rhodians just opened up on that noble horse and shredded it. It's down to 60. Charge coming in on the Egyptian general, though, from a Cappadocian cavalry. That is going to hurt. The axemen just do not have the armor or the mass. They're going to get a battle rhythm here, though. That will help them chop up some of that Cappadocian cavalry. There's a rear charge by the horse skirmishers. And then the Egyptian infantry takes a rear charge by that Cappadocian cavalry, which is ping-ponging around. This Galatian Royal Guard is still a very tough unit. It's going to be a serious problem for Galatia, because they don't have a lot left by way of infantry. There's another Thurio spear back here, too, that hasn't been engaged yet. And then there's a Galatian spear back here that also needs to be engaged. So the players might be too busy right now to really notice what's going on with those. The cultists are combining with the Galatian Royal Guard quite nicely there. Scare effect. Boy, those slingers have just been absolutely clutch in this battle. They did get hit by the horse skirmishers and Cappadocian cavalry here, though, and they will die if there's not something done about it. The Carian axemen are attempting to fend that off. It looks like one slinger is already gone. A second one is about halfway gone, and this one's still in decent shape. And it does look like they're going to push back that horse attack. The citizen cavalry was caught by the remnants of the Galatian general's unit here. That's a noble horse, so they will easily finish off that citizen cavalry, but I don't know. Depends on the charge they got. I mean, I would expect the noble horse to clean this one up pretty convincingly. There they go. So, we'll see, though. I mean, any kills that citizen cavalry gets is going to be well worth it. Oh, actually, I thought a slinger was lost. It wasn't. It must have run out of ammo and then charged the archers in melee. These Rhodians don't mind pulling out the dagger and getting into a bit of a scrap here. I like it. That's some scrappy play. I don't know if these archers... Yeah, these ones are all charging in. I don't know if they're out of ammo, if they're just trying to beat back that Rhodian. I'm guessing ammo is low for the Rhodians at this point. There is a Galatian spear kind of pushing here, but it is no match for that Royal Guard, especially in the presence of the Sobek cultists. The Axeman General is surprisingly still alive. This is odd, this Thurio spear. It's possible that these guys are just bugged out. Maybe there's a bug in the replay. I don't know. Or they've just been forgotten. I'm not sure which one. It's possible the replay bugged at one point. This is epic brawl over here. Rhodian Slingers just going full Leroy Jenkins into the Syrian archers, and honestly, they're making a decent day of it. These guys are almost 200 kills. Syrian archers, let's see, 12, 24, 4. 15, 24, 6. Wow, the mercenary Rhodians have better melee stats, but probably lower armor. Yeah, there's 40 armor on the archers and only 25 on the slingers. Of course, I don't know where that 25 comes from, unless this is like some kind of armored frock they're wearing or armored sandals. Not really sure which. Alright, the Galatian Royal Guard is hacking that Galatian spear to bits. Their countrymen fought for the wrong country here. Apparently the Ptolemies were who they should have served. And then the enemy noble horse is just going to go for broke here. They don't really have a whole lot of other choices. The Sobek cultists are going to give these guys the death roll. It'd be pretty awesome if one of the guys actually did that. So, yeah, the enemy noble horse general going down. A very close battle. Tight fight. Fun one. Lots of good play on both sides of that one. And an exciting battle. Interesting because, honestly, some of the units between these two factions are similar, right? They're actually Galatians. But Egypt is kind of more of a mixed bag. Like I said, they definitely have that kind of Greek, Alexandrian base, but their infantry is quite different in the sense that they have a whole lot less pikes. They have access to these other cheap units, but then they also have the Galatian Royal Guard, which are some epically good infantry. They're quite good. And then they, again, cheap spears, the cultists, like some of these other strange tools they have. But I mean, these Rhodian Slingers, man, these guys owned. They did excellent. And the Syrian archers, you can see, they can get some kills when they get the opportunity. These are dangerous units. They didn't have as much success as their Rhodian counterparts here. Cappadocian cavalry, very dangerous. There was 2 of them there, and then the 3 horse skirmishers. One of them did get a lot of kills. The Cappadocian cavalry, not surprised, they're very tough. Noble horse got a fair number of kills there as well. And some nice work here on these Galatian spears. That's a lot of kills for those. One of the Galatian legionaries doing quite well there. So definitely some work getting done here by Galatia, but a fun battle. Appreciate Sol Invictus and Callie. I think both players were great here and led to some very fun gameplay. Appreciate them both. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. See you all soon with some more action, and Rome 2 coming up soon.